This is my testimony. I turn 18 3 weeks from today, and I think for right now, my plan is to revisit this video and others I'll make this year in about 5 years or so. See how I've changed, see what desires God has fulfilled in my life. The last time I talked about this, I talked about how unhappy I was with myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about that again, but I don't want to rehash too much of this. The only part I really have to say about that is that I was very unhappy with the way that I looked. Now I have this swaggy mustache. My hair normally looks great. I showered yesterday, so it's really fluffy right now, which I don't like very much, so that's why it's pulled back. But in terms of my body, a little over a week ago, I started this new exercise routine. It's been great. I don't have like a 10-pack yet, but I feel healthier and I feel stronger and I feel more focused, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this. I've already added like more sit-ups, longer planks, things like that, improvements on the original recipe. But I'm not here to talk about that. That's not a huge testimony, and I don't know how long this video is going to be at this point, so, you looking at this in the future, you're going to be like, oh, why does he have so much left to talk about? That's because this video is about something very different, something I never expected to be a problem for me, and that is girls. Now, I am the oldest of 9 siblings. I have 8 younger siblings. And 6 of my siblings are girls. The church that I grew up in, everybody my age was a girl. The only guy remotely close to my age was still like 10 years older. I don't think he's quite that much older, but he's considerably older. And at the time, the church started when I was like 5. So even like a 3-year age gap, it's a huge age gap. And especially as time went on and I was around 11, 12, he would have been 17, 18, so just like leagues ahead of me. Well, I don't know if he's, again, I don't know how old he is now, so I don't know how much older than me he really is, but probably blur that license plate out now that I think about it. I don't know. So when I was about 15, well, okay, so my parents had the talk with me at about 12, I think. They were not happy about it because of what was being put out in shows and what wasn't being censored anymore. I had questions that they were hoping to wait to answer, but as time went on and we watched more shows, and these shows like kept slipping more and more past, rating services and stuff like that, they decided to have the talk with me pretty early. And from that point on, marriage was something very heavy on my mind. It wasn't something that I was scared about, rather something I looked forward to. I wanted to be married. I remember very clearly my dad saying, like, I know that this probably feels a little weird to you right now, you probably don't care about it, that's fine, that's normal. I remember thinking but not saying, no, this sounds great, I'm really excited to pursue this in the future. At the time, I pictured around 15, 16, getting out there, shooting my shot. But it wasn't a super big worry. But when I was 15, everything changed. I was homeschooled my entire life. Right now, I'm still homeschooled. I just have to finish a book. I have it right here. I don't know why I'm not showing it. I don't know. But I gotta finish that book, and then I'm graduated. And and so I've been homeschooled this entire time. But when I was 15, so 3 years ago, so like 9th grade, my mom decided that she wanted me doing something public school, because I was not clicking with the rooted youth at my church, our youth group. We called the name for it was Rooted. Everyone else was girls except for a couple guys my younger brother's age, and I had fun. I had a good time, and I really, really, really loved the youth leaders. But in terms of establishing meaningful connection, that wasn't happening. And so my mom wanted to get that for me, because one of the things I complained about a lot as a kid was that I didn't have any friends. And that was something that really plagued me and frustrated me as I got older. It still does to this day, right now, when I'm recording this. Like, all day yesterday, I was thinking about it. It's not fun being alone. And I felt very alone. I wasn't alone. Like I said, I had 8 siblings. But I was lonely. I was very, very lonely. And as time goes on, that loneliness just intensifies. Sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, and I was in this class. I only took, so what my parents decided on was I would go to a co-op, which is a I don't know how these normally work, but the one that I went to was a Christian public school for homeschoolers, if you will. And okay, I'm gonna try this again. I kept trying it in the Menards parking lot, but it kept overheating. So I moved somewhere else. I'm in the shade. Put the liner down. I don't know if that'll help at all. It gives me good bad lighting though. Maybe that's just my face. But anyways, as I was trying to say, I took one class at this co-op. It was a 1 day a week, one class. For most people at the co-op, it was 3 classes. But I only took one class. And after that class was done, during the lunch hour, my mom would come and pick me up, take me home. And that was my routine basically every time. I've recorded this like 3 times already, and it kept overheating and cutting out. So I've forgotten what all I've said so far. But luckily I've told this story a lot to myself. I've recited it back so I can relive every horrific moment of it. So I might have to backtrack a little bit. I'll try not to, but I might have to do that. If that happens, I'm not very good at editing. I've never edited a video before, but maybe I can try and see if I can rearrange the bits and pieces. I'm hoping it won't come to that. But anyways, in this class there was, I think about 7 people total, counting me, and there was one other guy. So one of the big reasons why my mom pushed me so hard to do this was because she was like, you don't have any guy friends your age. You want guy friends your age. This is a good way to meet guy friends your age. And there was one guy. So it wasn't anything I wasn't used to. And one day, when I was waiting for my mom to come pick me up, one of the girls from my class came up to me. And she told me that there was a dance coming up that Wednesday. And she wanted to know if I could make it. To this day, I don't know what happened. I'd seen her hundreds of times before, probably. Not anywhere near that many. Dozens of times before, because I don't know if I said this in this segment or not, but this was in March, and I'm assuming I started in September. I don't remember for sure, but that's my guess because it's when the school year starts. But so I'd seen her a lot, so it wasn't like I was captivated by her beauty. She talked to me sometimes. I don't remember if she ever came up to me after the lunch hour. Or not, but she I think it was the song playing in my earbuds, because I always had my earbuds in because I thought I was cool and mysterious, when I was exactly like every other guy. and the song playing was not a love song technically in the typical sense. It was not a romantic love song, but it was Cinderella by Stephen Curtis Chapman. Absolutely gorgeous song. If you don't know it, go listen to it. It'll make you cry. Even if you don't know the tragedy that happened to their family basically immediately after. But the song tells the story of a father and his daughter as she grows up. And you know, the song starts, it opens, she's this little girl and she's playing with her dolls, and she's like, "Daddy, I have to get ready for the ball." And he drops his work, he drops his busy stuff, and he dances with her because he knows that he only has so many years. And then he's dancing with her to get her ready for prom, and then by the end of the song, it's for her wedding. And it's this beautiful love song. And again, it's not a romantic love song, but it is a love song. Sorry, my joints have been hurting a lot today. My allergies are driving me crazy. It's this beautiful song about cherishing the time you have with your loved ones. And so when this girl came up to me, I'm trying to think if I need like a name for her. I'm not gonna say her real name. We'll go Lily. Okay, her name is Lily because, you know, her nom de plume is Lady Rose, so I guess I could call her Rose, but I'm gonna go Lily because I can. But in that moment, I knew what the songs meant and the movies meant when they said that it felt like the world stopped, or it zoomed in and slowed down, and it was just the two of you. It was just me and her, nothing else. And the entire car ride home, I was silent. By the way, she came up to me to tell me there was a dance and they couldn't get any other guys to come, so she was wondering if I wanted to. And one thing I will say, and I am proud of me, because For the most of this, I look back on this with nothing but regret. Like, horror is, I think, a better word for how I feel about the way I compose myself, or lack thereof. But I never once pretended like she was asking me to the dance. I think some people would. I think a lot of people wouldn't, but I think that some people would. I think some people would, trying to read between the lines and make claims that don't make any sense. And I think that I didn't ever pretend like that was what was happening. So kudos to me there. Nowhere else, though. I went home, and the entire ride home, I was quiet. And I fell asleep listening to Breakfast Table by Chris Rice. If you've never heard it, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I don't know which one I prefer more, Breakfast Table or Cinderella, but they're both about loss. Breakfast Table is romantic, Cinderella is not, but they're both love songs about losing someone you love. Breakfast Table is about losing someone to death. Cinderella is about losing someone to time, to life. And the worst part of this is, before that moment, I didn't even like Lily. She really annoyed me, actually. She spoke up, interrupted the teacher. She was distracted a lot of the time. She was really, 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 really loud. Which is one of the big reasons why I can't believe everything that happened because of this. Because, again, until that, volcanic eruption of hormonal imbalance, I didn't even like her. I didn't even know her. Like, it's not like I disliked her or I hated her. I definitely didn't. I just didn't know her. And what I saw of her, I viewed as disrespectful to the teacher. Which I really did not like. I don't like it when people treat teachers like trash. Or parents, or whatever it may be. I don't like that. But after that moment, I was making excuses. She was just really excited about the topic. She just really wanted to share her thoughts. She's ADD, so she can't sit still, whatever. Making up excuses. Looking back on it, it's hard for me to judge, because neither time when I formed an opinion on her was I being objective. I don't know if you can be objective with opinions, but I had no basis for those opinions. The first time, I didn't know her, so it wasn't fair for me to guess what her motives were. And the second time, I was infatuated with her. So of course I was going to make excuses for every little thing that she did. I was going to ignore all her problems. And it's too long ago now for me to accurately remember what happened. So I don't know. When my phone was cooling down, I was rehearsing myself. This kind of stuff is really easy to say off camera. I don't know about on camera. I was so obsessed with her that I dug out her email from the group emails that our teacher had sent everyone in the class, and I emailed her every day for 30 days straight. I claimed it was for two reasons. One, sorry, I'm doing numbers off camera. My elbow's resting on the door here, so one, I wanted to get to know her better, because I don't remember my reason. I have since deleted all these emails because of how horrified I am of looking back on them. But I remember that it was because I wanted to get to know her better, and two, because we were both writers and I wanted to share my writings. Bullcrap. But every day it was this little snippet from a story I was working on in my head. I was not working on the story. I had nowhere near the ambition to do that. I am working on one now, though, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's very good, but it's a conversation for a different time. I'm trying to push myself away from this conversation, but and these stories and these characters, I think, are actually fine. Like, they're obviously very first draft. These were not polished works that I'd spent days working on. They were something that I typed up right in that moment and sent to her. And my first drafts are very good for first drafts. They are not good for final products. They would be good, except for the fact that every single one of them was interlaced with these desperate Easter eggs begging for her attention and her affection. Every single one of them. And she never noticed, thank God. And I mean that literally. I'm not taking his name in vain. I thank the Lord that she didn't notice that. However, as time went on, I started spending more and more time with her. I went to her graduation. I invited her to my birthday. Not my birthday party, my birthday. I spent the afternoon with her. My 16th birthday with a stranger. That is stupid. Never do that. Luckily, she's a great person. So anything negative I say about her is more a reflection of myself. Like later, well, I don't know what exactly I'll say later, but earlier when I was rehearsing this, one of the things that I said was, whenever I was around her, I felt miserable. She made me feel so bad about myself. And it wasn't her. She wasn't psychologically abusing me or emotionally manipulating me. No, it was because of my inappropriate, misplaced infatuation with her. So if I say something like that, it's always in target of me and not of her. She was very kind, very gracious, great person. I wish I hadn't screwed up like I had, because I think that we could have remained very good friends. But as time went on, I grew unhappier and unhappier. Whenever I wasn't with her, I wanted to be with her all the time, every day. Didn't matter when it was, what I was doing. If I thought that she was texting or emailing me, I would drop everything. Terrible thing to do. Don't do that. And when I was with her, it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to be with her in a romantic relationship, not just with her like in company. But that's all I got. And so I was unhappy all the time. I was unsatisfied with my life. At the time, thankfully, I had the maturity to recognize I didn't have the maturity to pursue a romantic relationship. I had very many harmful habits. Sorry, my dad was calling. I had very many harmful habits. I was very insecure. I was easily irritated, among a whole host of other things. For one, she was 2.5 years older than me, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but 16 and 18, those are worlds apart. Worlds and worlds and worlds apart. I'm gonna have to stop again because my phone's overheating. Damn this phone. I might just have to keep tapping the screen, keep it alive. As long as it doesn't explode, I think I'll be okay. I'm noticing that there's a lot of long pauses in this. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of what to say next, trying to regain my train of thought. And I'm not very good at editing, so these will probably all be in the vinyl video, so sorry. So I wasn't mature enough to pursue a relationship with her, which I'm very grateful for, because I would have utterly embarrassed myself. I did not have anywhere near the appropriate knowledge and skills to navigate my way around that. So if I had asked her out, oh my gosh, thank the Lord I did not do that. His providence was heavy on me here. But that didn't mean that I would do anything short of pursuing a relationship with her, because I would do anything I could to get as close as possible. Let me try moving this out of the sunlight, actually. I would do anything I could to get as close as possible to pursuing a relationship with her without actually being in a relationship with her. Sorry. And up until this point, every conversation we'd had over email, text, in person was just the most embarrassing nonsense you can imagine. Again, always on my part. Anytime I say something negative, it's on my part. But then October rolled around, and a family at our church was doing this October Festival, where you could come to their house. If you were under 21, you could drink root beer. If you were over 21, you could drink beer. It was just eat hot dogs, watch the bonfire, have a fun night, So I invited Lily, as I always did, to everything. And as she always did, because she's a good friend, she came. And we were having a good time. We were playing hide and seek in their cornfield. And I was feeling awful because I'm allergic to anything outside. So I was dying. Also, I'm asthmatic. So running around chasing people with when the air is filled with poison was not good. So I was feeling pretty miserable. And so we were walking together because I was seeking. I found her pretty early on. So we were walking together for a couple minutes. And she gave me one of her necklaces. She always dressed like a fantasy character, like someone straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean, or someone that you see in a tavern in Lord of the Rings. Except for the fact that she always had like 100 necklaces on. So she gave me one of them because it was broken, and asked if I could hold on to it. And I said, yeah, I'll hold on to it. So I put it in my pants pocket. One of the few times I was wearing pants, because normally I wear shorts, but I was wearing pants for a costume. And when I got home that night, as I was putting on my pajamas, I realized, oh shoot, I still have her necklace. So I texted her, and she said that she was busy for the next several days, but when she wasn't, she would come and pick it up. And so sure enough, about a week later, I think, she came and she picked it up. And I was ecstatic. I was over the moon about it because, again, any chance I got to spend more time with her, to see her more, I took. And I greedily grabbed it. I was like Gollum. I said that, every conversation that we had, I regret. I look back on this entire incident with nothing but regret, except for this conversation. So she came inside, said hi to my family. I gave her the necklace, and we went back outside. She was getting ready to leave, and I wanted to tell her something. So I told her, just so you know, tomorrow I'm going to send you another email. So I sent her an email a day for the entire month of June. And then occasionally, if I wanted to say something or I had a piece of writing that I wanted to share, I would send her an email throughout the rest of the year as well. So I told her, you're going to get an email tomorrow, and I just wanted to give you a heads up in person. It's a doozy. And she was like, okay, I'm free now. You can tell me now. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's not what I wanted. But at the same time, it was. And so I told her that I had feelings for her. And again, every conversation is seared into my mind with embarrassment, except for this one. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember us being for the first time in my entire time talking to her, being friends with her, it felt like it was two people talking. And for the first time, and like every time I talked to somebody or, recited the story to myself while I was still infatuated with her, I claimed that day in March when I fell in love with her, I saw her for the first time. Nonsense. This conversation was when I saw her for the first time, because for the first time, she wasn't an idea. She wasn't something abstract. She wasn't something that could get me what I wanted. She was a person, a real person. And sorry, I'm trying to keep my phone out of the sun, but I also have a really bad double chin. Some of this is hair, it's not just shadow and wrinkles, okay? I'm trying to grow a beard. But this conversation felt natural, organic. It felt real. It felt genuine, which wasn't something I had experienced with her before. Again, not her fault, totally mine. I told her how I felt, and her response was she wasn't looking for a relationship right now, and she valued my friendship too much to risk it over something like this. Which, looking back on it, was the biggest compliment I could have gotten. It was the best result I could have hoped for, because at the time, again, I knew I wasn't ready for a relationship. I knew that she wasn't going to leap into my arms and kiss me or something, Even if a part of me really wanted that, I knew that was wrong. I knew that was not what God would want from me. Sorry, testing the temperature. I don't think all of it's the sun. It's just a bad phone. So, that conversation was very good, very genuine. But that is the only conversation the two of us ever had where it really felt like two people talking. Because from that point on, it was a girl and just a monster talking. And I'm not saying this to be like one of those, bike talkers, like, you don't want to let the alpha beast out. What I mean by that is I was horribly abusive. I emotionally manipulated her into talking to me by pretending like I hated myself. Like, I'm a very talented guy. It took me a long time and a lot of maturity to say that. But I am. I'm very talented at a lot of different things. And so an easy way to get attention is to pretend I'm not good at anything. Is to pretend I'm so useless, everybody hates me. When that's not true. And sometimes it does genuinely feel like that's true. But it's not. And I know it isn't. And when I said stuff like that to her, it was simply to get her attention and not because I was genuinely drowning in depression and I needed the help of a friend to get out. And forget Easter eggs and little clues, because from that point on, it was non-stop. I love you. Come back to me. I need you. I love you. Please wait for me. Don't date anyone. I don't think I ever actually said that last part, but I almost did countless times. I had to stop myself from sending that. Okay, stopping myself once is way too many, but even like just stupid amounts of having to stop myself from saying stupid nonsense like that. Sorry. And it was bad. It was really, really bad. And the worst part is, and I don't know if I said this yet in the recordings I'm going to put in the video, the worst part is I refused to admit I was doing anything wrong. I thought I was flawlessly navigating this nightmare that I put myself in, which is just nonsense. And it's not true at all, because I handled it about as poorly as you can. But I thought I was doing excellent. So any criticism somebody tried to give me, I just wrote off, just completely ignored. And then, by God's grace, January came. Sorry. Dr. Pepper did not go down the right tract. She would sometimes come to my church because I made her. But the 1st January of 2025, she came to our church unannounced. And after the service, she took me aside. Sorry, not unannounced, unprompted. And she told me that she had begun seeing someone. And I remember my first thought there was, don't start crying, don't start crying, don't start crying. Because I knew, a part of me knew that I needed to be happy for her. But the selfish part of me was like, I need to be happy for me. So I kept it together through that conversation. And on the way home. And then when I walked in the door, I collapsed. And I just disintegrated. I took a shower. I went to my room. I was blasting my music. Another song I would mention, Kumbaya by Wintley Phipps. Not as good as the other two by a long shot, but the lyrics, I don't know if this is how Kumbaya normally goes, but he's just, Wintley Phipps is this. he is blessed with this incredibly powerful voice. And he's belting out, "Oh Lord, come by here. Come visit me in my hurt." And it was exactly what I needed in that moment. And looking back on this is somewhat comforting, because my first thought upon hearing this is to turn to Jesus, is to say, "Jesus, I need you here," which is a major comfort in my life. That when I was faced with what was at the time the greatest tragedy in my life, my immediate thought was, "Jesus, I need you." And for the next month, I was in shambles. I didn't stop. I was still just as bad. I kept saying to her all these desperate, pleading arguments, trying to convince her to take me back, you know? I met with my pastor, and I talked to my parents a lot, and they all were saying, "You know, you're handling this so well, with so much maturity for someone your age." And looking back on it, yeah, I was in front of them, because I said everything right. I knew what to say. But I was wrong on the inside. On the inside, I refused to let go. And here's the worst part that's only recently begun to hit me. I cannot imagine how much I hurt Lily in all of this. Throughout the entire almost a year, she treated it with such grace. She handled it with such wisdom and maturity, and I just wouldn't shut up. I was complaining. I was whiny. I was arrogant. I was selfish. I was everything somebody shouldn't be. And through it all, she was so patient, but I can't imagine what it was like dating someone and having this child text you every day begging for your hand in marriage. And now, I never actually said that, and I never quite went that far, but that was clearly what I was thinking, okay? I ruined everything. There was nothing there. And I ruined it. And, you know, Lily, if you ever see this, I know your name isn't Lily, but you know me, and you know what I'm talking about. And I've apologized to you countless times. But I am so, so sorry. And I cannot imagine what I put you through. But despite my grief, despite my anger, despite my best efforts, time went on. Life didn't stop to weep with me. And a couple months later, actually almost a whole nother year later, I was at another friend's birthday party. This friend, what should I call her? Cassandra. She invited me to her birthday party. We knew each other when we were little because she was really close with my sister. And she recently started going to the same co-op that I was going to. Except this time, I was taking 3 classes instead of just 1. And she was in, I think, all 3 of my classes. So we spent a lot of time together. And she made it very clear that if I did not come, she would roundhouse kick me in the face. So I went to her party. And I'd begun kind of feeling feelings for her. But I saw her, we went to a roller skate park. And I cannot skate. I have such terrible balance and coordination. It is it's just not in the cards for me. But of course, she does Taekwondo, so stuff is easy for her. I mean, balance and coordination, not necessarily roller skating. But I remember watching her skate, and a song that I actually don't really like. I like a cover of this song very much, but I don't like the song. Golden Hour was playing, and as she skated, like, she wasn't even twirling or doing anything fancy. She was just sliding on the floor. And I remember thinking, oh crap. You know, it's like that GTA character. Oh crap, here we go again. I was like, I have feelings for her. And so the next day, I started thinking, and I was like, I am not gonna mess up like I did with Lily. I am not, gonna make those mistakes again. And one of the things I had to think about was, am I really over Lily? And that's when a lot of what I've already said came to me. I didn't know her. I was never in love with her. I was infatuated with a total stranger. And I forced her into a relationship and a friendship that she didn't want to be a part of. But this time I knew Cassandra. I had a little crush on her for years and years and years and years and years at that point. She and her family, like I said, they were very close to my sister when we were little. Like, for the time I'm making this video, like 6 years ago, maybe 7, maybe longer ago than that even. But at the time that I began having feelings for her, like, 4 months ago, so I guess it wasn't really that long ago. So much has changed since then, though. And then she and her family moved away for a couple of years, and then they came back, and we just recently started getting together again. So, like, sorry. This time I was like, I know her. I know I like her as a friend. I know I like her as a person. And I think that this could work. But as time went on, and I think that this time I actually handled fairly well, because there was none of the self-hate talk, because part of it was I knew she was too mean for that. Lily was so kind, so gentle, so caring. Cassandra was blunt and honest and like a knife, you know? With Lily, I could self-pity all I wanted. I could overshare all I wanted, and she would generously take it. Cassandra, she would, box it up and throw it right back in my face. She would beat me to death with it. She would not have that kind of nonsense. So that kept her safe, mostly. But there's also other things I was thinking about, like, if I were to engage in a relationship with her, I would have to give up many of the foods I love because of her intense allergies. She's also allergic to cats, which is a big problem because I love cats. She likes dogs, which is also a big problem because I don't like dogs. So there's just lots of, like, little things that I'm like, obviously these aren't things that are enough to base a relationship on either way. Like, what? A girl likes pizza? Bravo, dude. Cowabunga. Let's get married. But those are important things to consider. Those are things about my life I really like. I really like my cats. I really like pizza. I like hamburgers. I like french fries. All this kind of stuff that would be tossed out the window if I did pursue a relationship with her. And I had to think about how much I was willing to give up And so those feelings began to fade, and as they faded, the feelings for my other friend began rising. Her name, Felicia, because I don't think I have a reason behind most of this. She was kind of in the middle. Her sense of humor was more like Cassandra's. But she was very kind and very sweet, much like Lily. She was kind of the perfect combo between a punching bag and a boxing glove, because I could hit her and she'd take the blows and she'd wobble a little bit, and then she could hit me right back, right? But not hit me too hard, it was, I thought she was the one. But again, I screwed up. And I started saying a lot of the same things that I'd been saying to Lily. Oh, I hate myself so much. I'm such a loser. And I noticed it. And I was like, oh, stop, you're saying all the wrong stuff. But I didn't. It was kind of like Willy Wonka when Augustus Gloop falls into the river and his mom's like, help him. And he's like, no, stop, don't do that. That's what I was like when it came to pushing back against those patterns. I was half-hearted. I didn't really want to, because I was getting attention out of it from someone I liked, which is what I wanted. And so I didn't want to give that up until it got to a point. They started getting really worried about me, both her and Cassandra, because we were in a group thread together, because we were all on a team together in one of the co-op classes, and I would say some stuff and they would get concerned. Both of them have had friends make suicide attempts before. And they were seeing a lot of the same patterns in me that they'd seen in their friends. And then came April Fool's, and I hadn't done anything all day for April Fool's because I was at work the whole time. And one of the things that and so when I was falling asleep, I was like, oh, I gotta do something. So I started texting the group thread and, quoting, loosely quoting and what's the word I'm looking for? Molding the conquest. I am so lonely speech in the group chat. And I got to work the next day, and, a couple hours in, opened up my phone, and there was like a dozen text messages from both of them. And it turns out I had accidentally convinced them that I was about to take my life. Telling them that was an April Fool's joke gone bad was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because they were so scared and upset and worried for me, just to find out it was all a joke. Like, that's so frustrating. I can't imagine how angry they were, even with the angry text that they sent me. I just can't imagine that. And we didn't see each other for a couple weeks, because co-op was out that Friday I'm trying to remember the timeline. One of the Fridays, co-op was out because of Black Friday, and the other one I was out of town. I don't remember which order they were. whenever Easter was. It's not a fixed date, so it's impossible to know. But, goodness golly, this video is going to be long. Well, it's okay. They were both very angry, and as angry and scared as they were, I was 1,000 times angrier. I wanted so badly to just take something in my hands and break it. I was so upset that I had done something so stupid, something that had hurt people. I called my pastor when I came home from work that day, and I called him in a panic. I told him, I gave him a brief summary of the situation and told him about it, and he said that the best thing that I can do is just say my apology and wait for them to forgive me. And I think my apology was very well done. I said my apology before calling my pastor. And when he was talking about the apology, I was like panicking. I was like, I don't think I did any of this. But I put all the blame on myself. I didn't over exaggerate what I'd done. I apologized. I expressed that it was an accident. But that still didn't excuse it, which is what he had advised me to do. So that I felt good about myself is not correct. But to say that I was relieved I hadn't made it worse is not too much for me to say. Once that happened, pretty much all of my feelings for Cassandra went away. Because of how angry she was, I was like, yeah, this is never gonna work between us. And then for Felicia, they hung on a little bit longer, but I haven't seen her in like 2 months. Now that I think about it, my feelings for her are pretty much gone too. And this kind of thing never goes away. It's like Dolly Parton said, and then Whitney Houston covered, right? I will always love Lily and Cassandra and Felicia to some extent. These emotions, these desires don't ever truly go away. But they'll grow smaller. It's not like when I do get married, I'll be thinking of Lily, every time, being like, oh, I wish I'd married her. No. One, that's adultery. And two, like, feelings will fade. Again, they'll never go away completely. Like scars. They'll always be there, but they're not always going to be gushing blood. Before I move on to this most recent fiasco, I know that this is a long video. To anyone watching this, if anyone does watch this, I really appreciate you sticking with me, because of all the pauses and everything. Your attention span is saving the world right now. Maybe I need to put some Vine booms in here, right? Get the younger audience. But I'm sorry, where was I? Yeah, there's two other girls that I want to talk about very briefly. The first one, I'm going to call her Felicity because in real life she has the same name as Felicia's real name. I've always had like a slightly minor crush on her. She was in the same class as me and Lily. She's about a year younger than me. Maybe not a whole year, but a couple months younger than me. And she's very pretty, very pretty. Very small, very small. And just like, one of the things I really admired about Lily is how effortlessly beautiful she was. She never wore excess makeup. She never did her hair in crazy patterns. But as casually beautiful as she was, Felicity blows her out of the water. I don't even know if she does wear wake up, gosh golly, makeup. And she always has her hair just down. She's always in like a sweater and jeans. And she's beautiful. And she's great. She's got a very close sense of humor to mine. She's an evil person, but she's really sweet. So it's like the perfect disguise. So if we do end up in a relationship and the police are getting like domestic abuse signals from the house, it's her, not me. But we just honestly don't even talk that much. She has a phone number, but she doesn't have a phone number, so I can't text her. She does have an email address, but she's got an Android and I have an iPhone, and it doesn't work. You can't text email addresses across platforms, which is a little weird. At least I think that's what's wrong, because that's what was wrong with me before I got my number. So, you know, but we've emailed a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit, and I'm really trying to keep it to that. The other one, what's the name for her? Jolene. I guess I'll stick with it. Sorry, I got the Dolly Parton stuck in my head now. But she, it's funny. She's my sister's best friend. She's 3 years younger than me. And she's interesting because the reason why I have feelings for her is actually because of a joke. She and her sister used to come over to our house for movie nights every Sunday and then every other Sunday. She's probably at my house right now, actually, for the movie tonight. But one night, one of our cats was sitting next to me, curled up, and so she leaned over and started petting the cat and was saying like, "Hello, baby." And her sister thought she was talking to me. So that resulted in a whole fiasco of like me constantly embarrassing her and bothering her and calling her baby, until finally someone was like, "Okay, you're actually freaking her out." And I was a little bit confused because I was like, I keep asking her every time, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she keeps saying, "Yeah, it's fine. I think it's funny." So I checked on her again, and she was like, "Yeah, I actually do want you to stop." And I was like, "I'm so sorry, I'll stop." And I did. But then I thought about it and I was like, I might actually like her. But it went away pretty quickly because at that time I was still head over heels for, almost said her real name, Lily. And, also, like, at the time, so I would have been like 16 and she would have been 13. So just very big age gap there. Now I'm 3 weeks away from 18 and she's still like a month and a half away from 15. So, but every time I come out of one of these situations, she's one of the first names and faces that pops back up in my mind. And I don't know if that means that there's something genuine there or just that my heart is, sending the tendrils out and she's just a nearby target. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what God says to me. But for right now, she's just too young. And I'm too young. Like, there's this weird idea that in our society today, if you're not like ready to be married by 21, you have failed your life, which is not true. My grandparents, my mom's parents, got married at 18 and 19, and they've been together almost 50 years. It'll be 50 years next year. Most couples that get married that young do not last that long. My parents got married at 27 and 26, and they're still together. It's only been almost 19 years, so not nearly as impressive, but it's okay to wait a while. I don't want to wait for a relationship, but right now I'm not ready for one. So this most recent fiasco happened with a coworker, who I'm going to call Helen. Helen's pretty new at the place where I work. and she's been working there for a couple months now. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, dang, she's pretty. And the more time we worked together, the more time I was like, I think I like her. And then I was like, I know I like her. By the time of the whole April Fool's disaster, I was fairly confident that I did like her a lot. And over this past couple months, I've been, very tentatively dipping my toe in more, like, okay, well, she seemed to like that joke. What about this joke, And, we expressed a lot of shared interests with one another. Like, she hates dogs too. Finally, someone else who does. But this one did not end in tragedy or disaster. This one did not end in tears and catfights. It actually ended very gently. I asked for her number in case she wanted to work more, because she recently got suspended for calling off too much. And I was like, I could just give you my number. If you want to come in, you can just text me. And like, I carry a lot of sway at the place where I work. I've worked there about 1.5 years now, and I have garnered a lot of respect. Which means that it would be very easy for me to waste that, but I'm not going to. I'm not. This is something that is very important to me, and it's very important to a lot of other people, and I'm not going to let them down. But I was like, you know what? I bet if I talk to a manager, they'll let you come in. And she was like, yeah, okay. So I gave her my number. And then she accidentally called me 3 nights ago. And so we got to talking a little bit. And everyone at work makes fun of me, except for one guy, because he's in the same boat as me. They're like, what do you do outside of work? I'm like, I sleep, and then I get ready for work. I love my job. I will not do my school unless my mom threatens me with saying I can't pick up any extra shifts, and then I'll get it done. I love my job. I really do. And a lot of people think that that's very weird. And I think a big reason why I do, I'll actually get to that in a moment. I know this video is so long already. I'm so sorry. For some reason, like 20 minutes is a long YouTube video now. So this is like 3 times that. So I'm sorry to anyone who's been watching through this. You can probably watch it on 2 times, 3 times speed, That'll probably make the long, awkward pauses slightly less awkward. No, sorry, slightly less long. Excuse me. But while we were texting, she asked me what I did outside of work, and I responded, nothing. And so then I asked her, and she said that she usually goes out with friends or her boyfriend or herself. And I remember seeing that text and just immediately being like, I was upset, but I was upset more like, why did I think I had a chance? What was wrong with me that I thought I knew what I was doing? And I wasn't angry or even sad, really. Honestly, it felt like a big old weight had been lifted from my shoulders. That was one less thing to worry about, which was really a big relief. Because even though I don't really have much outside of work to do, that doesn't mean that I have nothing to worry about. Doesn't mean that I don't have any concerns. I mean, what a time to get political, right? But look at the state of our country. Look at the state of the world. And I'm not trying to make you think that you should be worrying about every possible angle of every possible thing that could possibly go wrong. But like, big scale, there's a lot going on. Little scale, there's so much more going on. But anyways, so that was the most recent fiasco. The upcoming one, so next on Dragon Ball Z. I've never seen Dragon Ball Z, so I don't know if they did the previews of the next episode. And I can't remember. I'm sure it's like next time on whatever. I think G.I. Joe did that. I don't remember. But is another coworker, and for her, we'll call her, oh, screw it, we'll call her Dolly, because I'm pretty sure she's from the South. She's got a very Southern name in real life. She and Helen were very close, very good friends. They spent a lot of time together, so while I was crushing on Helen, Dolly was almost always there as well. And she recently labeled me her op, because we have a bit of a feud, if you will, with, you know, some of the stuff that's supposed to be taken care of on the job and stuff like that. I think it's clear that she likes me as a person. Whether or not she likes me as a love interest is not for me to say, and I'm not going to make any speculation on that right now, because that's dangerous. It's dangerous to do that kind of thing. So before I go, I just want to talk about one more thing that I think will be really helpful. So if you want to skip the entire video and you don't want to listen to some guy yap about all the girls he likes, you can just skip to here. I'll put it in the description because I don't know how to do timestamps. And that is why. Why am I like this? Why do I overshare and attack the way that I do? Why am I so aggressive and angry? And the reason is the same reason why I struggle with pornography. It's the root cause of my sin. And I can sit here and I can give you all the advice in the world about how to beat pornography, I don't know if I can even say that, but I'm saying it anyways. If this video gets demonetized, whatever, I'm not going to get enough views to make money off it anyways. But I can sit here and give you all the advice in the world about girls and how to beat lust, and you could learn nothing. You can improve nothing. Because if you're sick, doctors can treat you for the symptoms, but the sickness won't go away unless they treat the root cause. And it's the same thing with sin. And the biggest thing you have to know is what your root cause is, so you can address that. And mine is and always has been loneliness. I am lonely. I'm not alone. I have a huge family who love me very much. I have a lot of people who would cry at my funeral. But I don't have a single person I can share anything with any time of day. And it sucks. It really sucks. There's this gaping hole in my heart. There's this enormous hunger for someone close to me. And there's no one there. And it sucks and it hurts. I don't know if you know graphology or not, but my G's, they got a big old loop on the bottom. I'm hungry for a close, intimate relationship with another human being. And right now, for some reason, God decided that's not in the cards for me. One day it will be, I'm sure. But until then, I want to pray for wisdom, because I'm going to need it. I mean, everyone does, but especially with something like this. And I pray that God will let me be content with who I am and what I'm dealing with right now. So for anyone who's watched this video, thank you so much. I appreciate you, even if you just watched this end bit here. And we'll see. I don't know when I'll make another one, so.